They live among us, elusive and detached, an ancient human family once recognized as guardians of the forest, specialists in hunting and gathering, and named by some as dancers of the gods for their great ability in song and dance. But in a world where minorities are sometimes marginalized, the abattoir have become obscure, removed, distant, and withdrawn. The forgotten people of our swamps and forests. Having migrated from the Great Lakes region of East Africa into the land we now call Zambia, the abattoir are the oldest known inhabitants of our country. Their descendants continued migrating into Zambia until the late 1960s. Their ancestry dates back to tens of thousands of years, at which time it is thought they lived and moved freely in the African savanna before the Bantu's arrival. To many, the abattoir are a fascinating mystery simply because there is very little information available about them. So, who really are the abattoir, and where in Zambia are they found today?
According to abattoir legend, the abattoir were born to dance.
They were entertainers of God, dancers of God to be specific, whilst in heaven. And
one evening when God was bored and was looking for some entertainment, he called on the people of heaven. And the first people to dance for him were actually the abattoir.
They went and danced for God, and because they are dancers naturally, they forgot. I guess they forgot to stop dancing after God said he had had enough.
So they danced and made noise and laughed throughout the night until God himself was satisfied. And then he thanked them and sent them away, and he returned back to his quarters to rest.
They forgot to stop dancing after God said he had had enough and that he needed to sleep. So they kept on dancing.
They disturbed God from his slumber, and on several occasions he kept on asking them to stop, but they wouldn't listen to him.
God got pissed with them and decided to throw them down to earth.
And according to them, that's how they found themselves in different parts of Africa, where they landed and they continued dancing.
A group of 3 young Zambians, born from modern parents, set out to find the descendants of the oldest inhabitants of Zambia and learn a little bit more about them.
When we started out on this journey to find the abattoir of Zambia, it was more of a job.
We were expecting to see bush people, to be honest. We were mentally ready to deal with bush people, and it was scary, it was exciting, it was something to look forward to.
So we started off from Lusaka for the Bangweulu in the afternoon, and the journey itself was interesting. There's a lot of sights along the road as you are going. On the way to the Lake Bangweulu, the team made a stop at a village in Kabende area to admire a special mythical tree known as Ichitibaluba.
And so we get to Kabende area in Chief Mlakwa's area in Zambia. And just along the way, there's this huge, interesting tree.
The tree is called Ichitibaluba tree. Basically, it's different trees growing from the same trunk. So it's a revered tree, it's a sacred tree. A lot of the locals respect it so much.
This tree is believed to be supernatural, which the natives acknowledge as sacred, and nobody is allowed to go close to it.
But because we were not educated about it, we immediately started filming it without getting permission from the local headman there. The surprising thing, or the most scary thing that ever happened to us, was that this woman just walks to us and just says, "You've recorded this thing without permission. Your vehicles are going to be involved in an accident."
The looks on their faces were really, really rubbing it in.
That was the most scariest part.
Whenever a chief dies, the body is brought under this tree before the burial, and special rites and rituals are performed here.
What we should have done was first pay a courtesy call on the senior headman in that area. Then he would go to the tree, perform some rituals for us, and then he would be able to explain.
I mean, we couldn't have taken it serious had they not shown us that it's a serious thing, but they did. And so everybody was, was scared.
But since we're the bad guys, we ended up leaving that place faster than the word go itself.
Chungu is a Catholic mission and docking area south of the Kapata Peninsula on the shores of the Lake Bangweulu. It is one of the waterways that connect the island of Kasenga to the mainland. The journey in a motor-powered banana boat took 2 hours, a stark contrast to the 6-hour journey that the locals have to make using dugout paddle canoes whenever they travel. Exploited more for its fish resources than its tourist potential, Lake Bangweulu is very breathtaking.
In the water now, we're going, I think, a few kilometers up that way or down that way. And we're on a shoot, we're shooting the abattoir people. I mean, we went as far as the road can take us. There's no car that's able to be down that area.
The most nerve-wracking 2 hours boat ride of my life was the banana boat.
The word Bangweulu means the place where the water meets the sky. It is truly the deep and secret heart of Zambia. The grey shoebill stork, one of Africa's most unusual bird, and the rare and shy aquatic Situatunga antelope make their home in the papyrus swamps and pellucid channels of the Bangweulu.
Yeah, good.
Kasenga Island is located further south, close to the outlet of Lake Kangwena, Kataba, Yongolo, and Hulo, at the edge of the southeast swamps. The abattoir of Kasenga Island on the Lake Bangweulu in Sanford district live under Chief Mulakwa. They are hunter and fisher populations living on the island, which boasts an estimated population of over 700 people.
When we arrived, I mean, the people I saw and the people I expected to see were two different people. I was expecting to see a very uncivilized, if that's the word, bunch of people that, you know, like live. I guess in a way they are what I expected to see, but in the biggest way they're different from what the books I read and the reports and everything I read.
According to their oral history, the abattoir of Kasenga Island immigrated from the Congo in the pre-independence era in search of food, fish, and game. Not realizing that they were on a floating island, they found themselves at Kasenga, where they decided to settle because of the abundance of fish and game there.
Ukukungulukana tulala filafine mutulo takwali amato twale bomfya bakalamba bale bomfya awe efe twakungulukana chimutafu chachile tuposa mkwaipa fishira apa pali chichale ko chilichile kichale mumulomfa mabuku nkuberenga
tuwafikire te hapa tuwafikire muno tuwaenda babene aba abafyalira muno nabambi bali kutimba bwe bana bandi
ya ifwe kuno tinatira ifikolo fyeso ifyachitire invent obwato naunga kuli bambya basangira mano ya bwato ne kutinatira ifwe pantu ilienshita kwa linkondo shaba shamfumu ama chiefdoms baleluisha ama chiefdoms so kwale kuipa ya bantu nomba ifufwe batwa twalichenjere sana mulando wa bwato.
As the levels of fish and wild animals deplete significantly here, the abattoirs are now depending on cassava growing and reed mat crafting, that it has now replaced the forest and hunting as symbols of Vatwa identity.
Tute tukitanga twalima eronga wapya ero tampo kuimba kapapa ko tubalira kuri kapapa nga wauma ero twatwara kumumana twabikako ero atiunake ero twaisa fundika atukatwefi kunyunga tukapo kunyunga kukanika ero busanguke bunga.
Chipulu Chibale Dixon is a non-Vatwa fisherman living on Kasenga Island. He is married to his first cousin, a Vatwa woman.
Ine pao kumana wawa kuno ni kuchifyalilwa ine ekuli batata bafyashi banje abaume so naleisa pano pene mukutandala so naishire muno wewe ni cousin wandiwe nokuisa mupa.
In some Vatwa communities, families live close together, usually as clans, while in other communities, families live spaced apart, citing jealousy and witchcraft. The father usually plays a big role in a typical Vatwa family setup. Women take care of the children and food preparation. The women also supplement to the family food basket by making reed mats and gathering wild vegetables. And in some cases, they do odd jobs in the nearby villages.
Fufwe bamuture mafiria wabula kambazo finole basa washitisha ngefiri benderi lya kushitisha so mwine kuyapanga mwempia nokwisa panga mwemirire limbi kushita moto mataba ero wayagaisha pantu ifi yakulya kuno fyalikosa manje ni mushiri walionaika monge fine mwene fyumbu hapo ni chitapawe fyumbu hapo so fwe kuno chitubo mfya sana disabi ero mumikalire Yesu limo kutampo luchero ngatamuko sele polimbi kwiswali obwali ni mairo filia kanshika mamuleya fila fine mwafwailisha koli mutusabi kwa isa pwavena kavende filia mwakabula kubunga kanshimilire Yesu kuno yaba fe ya shupa chito kwa tafi kuno buli mifyenesa bichapo ero ya shela fibana kashiba kesa kofi olweo no lukoku ya kuluka file fipasa fya kudira chito shintu tubomba kono. Zinga tuate fi so tulalalika pamana amasumbu ngefine twalalika so ruchero ero twaisalola so isa vinga lyafua sana tulakanga nga twalikanga filia ero twaisali sendo kuya nalyo kumulundu kulya kubwa ushiku kabende twamba nokupanga mu bunga byobunga nga twapanga tulesa nabo kuno kuyeno kwisa tampo kusisa kwa banesu kayaba buli wena fubu wakulya pamanganda ngate ifyo kula baba surufira baisa bashita kone mpia ero nafo tulya mukusitesa tulya mukustamwe fya kulya.
As the levels of fish and wild animals deplete significantly, so many abattoirs here are now depending on cassava growing and reed mat crafting, that it has replaced the forest and hunting as a symbol of Vatwa identity.
Mkwa kwa chave takulisa bikono kuntumwera nawo bipisha atushinga twakulalia mwandini sabena shupa sana
The Batwa say they believe in having as many children as possible because of the high infant mortality rate. Most of the children die as infants, and to them, having more children is a way of keeping family numbers intact. Elizabeth Malama, a Batwa woman living on Kasenga Island, is a widow and mother of 15 children, though 8 of the children have since passed away. She is a political councillor who represents the people of Kasenga Island, an energetic, passionate, and very ambitious lady.
Yaya konta, mulanga lango msimbe perera pakati. Yaya konta, mulanga lango msimbe perera pakati.
Webe Chama is a traditional birth attendant and marriage counselor at Kasenga Island who plays a big role in preparing young Batwa women for adulthood, marriage, and motherhood. She is a custodian of Batwa customs, values, and traditions. Here, she narrates to us how a Batwa girl comes of age.
Yobayitanga we kisungu wawafira fina kisungu wabona umulopa eri aiba kwabo bali nabo yangu bana kwebadire kukwangala kumansansa eko awira yangu kulya kuimba tuti eko awire kisungu eri aibo bana kwati bane we munantu sino bena we kisungu tomra kwa mwe batenda kumusi ekuisa kunumusi.
A day before we arrived, her entire house and property burnt to the ground.
Chungu chachi sero maderi achinji kata sana. Ankansi mwebana sate na yamu ukosho mu muriro. Kuisa kwa puro muriro mu. Uwa ruasi. Tauri wa sisi anga awe. Hivyo naisa naenda. Nafika na mtanda munafika. Nomba umurandu wa mpepo nasafuka mefi pepo yasanyikata kumoru nomba kansindi misi omuliro udire pamuru wa mutanda.
The crew got so touched that they donated some of the supplies they carried for the trip. The geographical location of this village has isolated the Abatwa from accessing national development.
Kwa ine wamoja changu Zambia pali Kasenga elo igere puisha school ba instonto kanyapa na paku panevo nka chitena inevo ndisha kufena inevo nkasambi inevo fija fini kutero na faro kusana inevo kasali nangia uchicha na nazi kwena nebo ndefwa yo kusambirira nkwati amano ngana pasa nkaresambirisia uchishi nebo tamo kwena mkai turafo kusambia nomba gachichi tabaposa kwa mano katishi fina fuba taisula lelo ngae bushikuna bane suba baisula
Takari teacher.
nga twapita abana mufitanda balitemwa efitanda chine fitwa
yafine mbanga banishitapo foto aisala elo vino beshile nageni wakabwekela musolelo katuishinga yo ushikuna banesu baisura inede mtu aisura mukatuishi ngaelo na banesu baisura yafine batata balitura nomba ndala makwena cha kusambira kusukuru cha likosa.
We leave Kansenga Island and go to the other side of the island to meet the second group of the abattoir. And on our way, first we get lost on the lake. 4 solid hours lost.
We had a navigator who was showing us the way, but because the channels were blocked and we had to use another way, we ended up getting lost. The journey was supposed to take like 2 hours.
It's not like he's ignorant. The channels change a lot, so anybody could have gotten lost. It just so happened that it was us.
Then comes the worst thing that can ever happen on this journey.
We were cruising, doing about 80 kilometers an hour on water, and then the engine just drops into the water. And this is the Great Lake Bangweulu. It's deep.
We were all shocked and stunned. I think it took us a few minutes to recover.
That, to me, is probably the most scariest moment of my life ever. So, we made plans. We ended up using a mosquito net to retrieve the engine, which is not as easy as it sounds right now. We almost fell into the water, all of us, but I think that is what made everything worth it.
Chiengi was a historic colonial boma of the British Empire in Central Africa, and today the district is a settlement in the Luapula province and headquarters of Chiengi district. Located in the northeast corner of the Lake Mweru and at the foot of wooded hills dividing the lake from the Lake Mweru Wantipa and overlooking a marshy plain stretching northwards from the Lake Mweru. The district is under Chief Puta Kasoma, and the areas just to its north were ravaged by the slave trade and related ivory trade in the 18th century. Numerous Arab and Swahili slave traders such as Tipu Tip operated around the north end of the Lake Mweru and around the Lake Mweru Wantipa all over to the Lake Tanganyika. So the other mythical thing we encounter on this journey is a huge rock in Chiengi which is called Kawekatenda. To the locals in Chiengi, it's a very revered stone and you just don't talk about it unnecessarily. So if you ask anybody about Kawekatenda in Chiengi, they will beat about the bush. They won't tell you direct. Kawekatenda is a local shrine where a large mysterious stone rests on 3 small stones at the tip of a hill in Chiengi. Bashimpundu Batatu is a village located about 16 kilometers away from Chiengi. Bashimpundu Batatu means the father of 3 sets of twins. The village is on the edges of the Mweru Wantipa Game Reserve. To get there, the film crew had to ride on motorbikes through some rough terrains because the area has no roads, only bicycle path networks created by the villagers. One of the film crew members had a motorbike accident but only sustained minor hand bruises, and the thrill continued.
A nasty crash. We've lost some fuel. The road is really bad. This is me falling. As you can see, it's really bad, and I don't know, I'm still in shock.
So after this nasty crash, these guys are climbing to avoid the climb on a motorbike. So it's a bit. Here's the guy who really crashed. I crashed backwards, but it wasn't that bad as this guy. Joel,
Okay, I'm
how does it feel? Can you say that one more time? What really happened?
We were coming down there, and it's so high, so steep. I think we just lost control. The roads are really bad. Oh my gosh! Let me catch my breath. It's shaking.
It is quite steep here. We're still going upwards.
We've just left Washimpundi Watatu's village and we ran into an obstacle. There are forest fires everywhere and the crew is suggesting we turn back because the drivers say these things can explode. The motorbikes carry petrol so they can explode. And as you can see behind me, there's a huge forest fire. It was just started like some minutes ago. And so this is a hindrance that we have faced. And imagine if people were taking supplies this side to the Watwa people, this would be the same hindrance they face. So I think road access would be very welcome. The abattoir of Chiengi are semi-nomadic compared to the abattoir of Zambia on Kasenga Island, hence their home structures are temporary and simple. Their staple food is cassava roots and leaves. For meat, they feed on snakes, snails, and scorpions as the numbers of bigger animals in the nearby forests have depleted significantly.
These are the indigenous Africans. You find them in different places. But here, we consider them as strangers. But really, they are the most indigenous of Zambians. Most indigenous of Africans. In this area, south of the equator, no one can claim being more indigenous than they are. They can.
Mujuni ma utahabemo oto abe tuwe mo obabo mbera side ono basi tui obo ma mo mpene kito abapi obo ma utane ona ni mu adeki ate na tebola obo ma mujudi abi okana sio habemo oto abange ma utapaka toto abenywe batembo siani hamwe mwasa mbele la benywe amwe na president kwenyu kwa omigwasi abenywe hi bambi bala pinga fyene mfuti kwebo fyonse twalaya mofie mwe mudi batembo tamwa kwa ta pereza wenu kwebo kumi pwa fyemwe bonse mwe batembo kwebo nombo butembo wange baburi kuisa so tensa mpamfu ni fara ke yo mbele so ndoko na kokula ke so ata so ntere pari aba ma kofi kuitofira ya bandinja bona una aba komando tula puma bakala mbeki akweba ati kupuma wainona mungui kitokomba mama kya kuimba na kulia kitokomba wainona kashona wainona kashona wainona inona mama wainona murungui.
Abattoir of Chiengi believe that during the first Republican president's term in office, Senior Chief Kasomaputa caught the abattoir from Congo to help curb the growing populations of monkeys and wild pigs that were destroying the crops of the local people. The abattoir were given land in the forests and largely kept to themselves. Thus, they did not obtain national registration cards. Up to today, many of their descendants still don't have national registration cards.
Kweli bwari bwane bono habo bombire mwana asiembuye ganandi mutundeni kalamba kulia hajuri abenwe bana ndimo kuheta te kweli sikasungua nisieka kile habugima sasa ne andi bukwirira ne bama basi somiene nasigia kutekwa ama kubamba kusoma wewe mwana pasikadi kubamba Makapika marembe, wana mabarere, wana 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 matwende tubase, wana makapika namba mwasi, kabwachi bukamu, mwasi.
Lwa usika betu ebe ne bado biloma odi machi hatuemo okamo na hange ni dingere mo kamu mo mudo balabo odi abo boka odadie kamu na ndo kwa reside ya tugile side tia pwani sinangi ni mwela we ndimo amona kienga kuno kwine nana kata so mula kasuka yo mule kunkapenda ni vidiana ikosa takapika ko afika
Sadly, it is evident that abattoirs are losing their true identity and culture. For entertainment, they amuse themselves by dancing, drinking locally brewed beer, telling folk tales, and through dramatic performances. It is a well-known fact that dancing is a feature of urban and rural life throughout Zambia. History has it that the Kalela was started by a man called Kalulu around the year 1930 on Lake Bangweulu. In 1939, Kalulu joined the Northern Rhodesian Regiment and had permission to carry his drums so that he could, when the occasion permitted, continue with his dances. While he was away, a man called Million acted as the leader of the dances at Chisi when Kalulu was in the army. Kalulu was discharged from the army in 1946 and renamed the dance Luapula. Due to the increased movement of population to the Copper Belt after the Second World War, the dance was introduced to other parts of the country. The influence of the dancers of the gods goes far. In the 1950s, the most popular dance of all was the Kalela, and it was danced all over the Copper Belt by people from all over the country in a different number of variations.
The Abattoir people are they're culturally rich people that just so happen to live in a certain way that is different from every other community.
Indeed, the abattoir live among us, though marginalized. This indigenous group of Zambians is slowly integrating itself into the mainstream society through whichever means they can think of, such as intermarriages and change of original names. And so we found our oldest relatives, the abattoir, and we found out some important things too. The abattoir are trying to preserve an old way of life, but also adapt to modern ways of doing things. By witnessing this silent struggle, we now understand that all Zambians, even those living in the remotest parts of the country, born from ancient societies, have aspirations for a better life, for an acceptable way in which to live and realize their potential. Just like us who have appeared so much later and who live such different lives. That is when we realized how important and unique every Zambian is. One Zambia, one nation. We learned this important lesson from the abattoir, the dancers of the gods.
Kushangala bantu na ba mulongwe na ba mpolokoso na lungela twapo. Kazungule galalila na utukanaya na yakubakulu bante wile myono yona teneka yona teleneka na kakashikande kushangala bantu na ba mulongwe